Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Louise, and in this video I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up and my plans for March. So I'm going to start with the words that I was able to write in February as well as my plans for writing in March. The month of February was way worse than January was in writing and reading, honestly. For February I wrote 7,534 words, which is significantly less than the 11,000 that I got for January. My goal for March and every other month this year is going to be 10,000 words. I can definitely hit that goal, I just have to really put my mind to it. Now for February's reading, I did way less than I wanted to, but more than I kind of expected. So in the month of February, I ended up DNFing Deadhouse Gates, at least for the time being, because I decided that there were other books that I was more interested in reading right now, and I just did not really, I didn't want to feel like I was trying to slug through Malazan. I want to come back when I'm more comfortable reading it. The second book that I had in my February TBR was Hyperion by Dan Simmons. I did not even touch that book. I wanted to, but I kind of just didn't. The third book on my TBR was The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, and I did get pretty far through. I don't have a whole lot left. I have probably about a third of the book left. So out of the 3 books that were on my February TBR, I ended up not really actually reading any of them. I did end up picking up Northanger Abbey. I'm 60% of the way through with that. I had started reading a Michael Crichton book. I think it was Dragonbone. I can't remember for sure. But I did start reading that. I think I'm almost 10% of the way through that. But I did read 2 books this month. I listened to them both on audiobook. The first book that I read was On Writing by Stephen King, which was one of the books that I wanted to get done at some point this year, and I'm glad that I did read it. I give it 4 stars out of 5 because the first third of the book or so, it was more of Stephen King talking about how he came to be writing, and while it's interesting, I also just didn't care because I just wanted the writing part. The other book that I listened to on audiobook was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because while I agreed with his conclusions, I disagreed with the methods that he got there. I felt that he's a little too cynical. And it's very interesting because his conclusions are really care about what you care about and, you know, forget everything else. So it's a very contradictory sort of look for everything. That subtle art of not giving a fuck doesn't actually matter because you need to give a fuck about the things that matter to you. So it's really not about not giving a fuck. It's just a little bit of a frustrating read for me. My TBR for the month of March is to finish The Way of Kings. I absolutely want to finish The Way of Kings. And I also want to read The Lord of the Rings for the first time this month. I'm going to start with The Hobbit, which I have read before. I just kind of want to get back into Middle-earth and then read Lord of the Rings. I am planning on that being a 1-week thing, with the exception of The Hobbit, I think. But I do want The Lord of the Rings to be a 200 pages a day thing. That will hopefully force me to actually read it. So technically there's 5 books on this TBR, although The Lord of the Rings tends to only be, 1 book, but it's in 3 books. I think my number 1 priority is finishing The Way of Kings and probably also reading The Hobbit. And I want to read Lord of the Rings because I have not read them before. And the times that I have read it, I think the furthest I've gotten Lord of the Rings was getting to Bree. and it was just before meeting Strider. Like, I've stopped reading just before it starts getting really good. But I think that's all I've got for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, consider leaving a like. If you're interested in what I have to say about any of these books, and seeing if I actually read them, because I have really terrible track record, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!